are back. Good day, Brenda. How are you?
Good day. Oh, I'm going like crazy all day this day. All day.
Whoa. We didn't lose you, did we? We didn't drop that? Oh, we're good.
No.
We're good.
I was turning my phone off so it doesn't ring in the middle.
Oh, that's a great idea. I bet your phone gets blown up. We get a ton of messages through the website lately. A lot.
I'm so excited that we have so many people signing up to be on our site.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to be had over there, which is good. There's a lot of resources with the forum and Q&As. We're going to be updating the Q&A section this week, actually, with some more questions that have been coming in. What's really good about some of the questions is they're very nuanced, or they're very about a specific situation that someone else may find themselves in, which is good. Obviously, we can't answer questions about somebody's specific account, like, oh, well, what's happening in my account with this? But oftentimes somebody will have a unique circumstance that they find themselves in that they want help understanding how it applies to them. Those are great for the FAQs because they give us something extra to kind of go, okay, from that perspective, or considering these things, reference a couple of different parts of the legislation and come up with an answer, right? Which is good. A lot of the FAQs, though, are there for everybody to dive into. Any kind of generic questions. I know that it can be a lot to catch up on. But hey, aren't we homeschoolers? We're used to educating ourselves all the time anyway. Right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Forever learning. So what's new for you? What's new for you this week? Last we talked, we had a very good interview with Dina. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch that video, go check that one out. But Brenda, what's new this week?
Well, I've had questions coming in from individuals regarding will my child be validated for or verified for athletics? How will we know we're going to be eligible for Bright Futures? So I did a bit of calling to the FHSAA, to the Bright Futures office, and they are in limbo to some extent.
Okay.
The FHSAA is in limbo. The governor was pushing for a bill which passed that put the Florida High School Athletic Association under the State Board of Education. I don't know that he really realizes what he has just burdened them with. But it went into effect July 1, so the FHSAA has no board. All of the previous board members were retired by the governor, and they have not appointed a new board. So they're trying to function.
So fast.
They're trying to function in the gap and serve as many kids as possible. The executive director was going to look into how they would classify the PEP students because there's no law changing the extracurricular activities statute, which is 1006, not 1002. And so they're not quite sure how to handle that. They're going to do the best they can in trying to qualify them. But I'm not sure that their plan actually is going to work for homeschoolers because, as you know, we don't all fit in one single, simple little box.
Right.
So I also talked to the Bright Futures office, the person that handles home education issues, and she told me that their catalog was coming out soon. Okay. So those statutes weren't changed either. in this. The only thing that occurred in the legislation, HB1, were just a little line that said they would have the same privileges and opportunities as Section 1002.41, parens 3 through 12.
Okay.
So that means that in statute, the PEP students are supposed to have the same privileges. The problem is the other laws that would direct the departments or the Florida High School Athletic Association to make those changes were not changed.
Okay.
So for example, Bright Futures has to follow the law, but they gave them no direction. Do those students still, like homeschoolers, only have to have a SAT, ACT, and now a CLT test score, which is a classical learning test, I think, classic learning test. And they don't even know what that score is yet. So this program was rolled out so fast that everything that needed to be dealt with wasn't.
That's true. I do think that over time we might get there, but we're probably going to pass deadlines for things for some people, and
exactly,
that time keeps on slipping, right? Into
the
future. So
and
we're going to have to build it while we fly it.
For fall sports, they have to get verified ASAP. So I was just going to say, and this is really important, until we get all of those bugs worked out of this legislation, I would recommend that parents retain their home education status, even if it would mostly affect high schoolers, because that's going to be dual enrollment, Bright Futures, extracurricular activities, sports, music, whatever. I'm trying to think what else. There were 4 things. Florida Virtual School. The districts don't know how to handle those, and because they register with the scholarship funding organization, the district has no record of them. So there's a problem qualifying them for Florida Virtual School. So I would say, for your safety, maintain the status quo of home education, and possibly by this time next year, we can have all the bugs worked out.
Yeah. It seems like certain systems that they have people put in may or may not have the right markers, or they may not be called the right things to be able to get into the program. And some people thrive on technicalities, right? They thrive on like denying people their access based on technicalities. So I guess that makes a whole lot of sense, what you're saying there.
Well, the problems run into, like, Florida Virtual School gets paid as though the child were sitting in a public school, but the DOE has to run some of those names to make sure they're not being double paid for the district and Florida Virtual. If it's a home ed student and they have a number in the district with Florida Virtual School, then that works. But the scholarship funding organizations don't have access to the same database that the school districts use, and that would be the database where they report volunteer hours for Bright Futures. So it may be a longer time coming than, in the next month, because they got to get permission to access that, or they've got to figure out some other way to access the state database. It's just, there's a lot of complications involved.
Yeah,
so
that makes a lot of sense.
Bottom line, if you have a child that is dependent on any of those services, my recommendation would be that you just stay for this year registered as a home education student. Have them register as a home education student.
Interesting. So we had a question come in through one of the people viewing now, and they say, the same privileges, yes, but will my student have to get a GED if she accepts the money her final year?
For the final year?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure I understand the question. Why
Sure.
GED?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more details than that. So if you're still here with us, Julie, go ahead and can I add a little bit more to that? I'll move to the next question in the meantime. It says, do you know how soon we'll have the parent handbook for PEP? Are you talking about the purchasing guide?
I think that's what's important. Is that a question that came in just now?
Just now, yeah.
Okay, ask them what they're looking for. Do they want
Yeah.
to know what they can spend their money on? If that's what they're interested in, then we have the purchasing guide. It's not final until December, but there is a draft out there.
Yeah. Let's see. This is not the same person. I'm trying to keep up with who said what in case they add clarification. Yeah, so if you can add clarification to that, what information you're looking for from the parent handbook, then we can answer that question a little bit more specifically. The Julie updated it and says she's a graduating senior. She is a graduating senior in her senior year, or she's a graduating senior in her final year. Missing a couple of words here, so I'm trying to fill that. Who wants to receive Bright Futures? We have been under the county, but we're granted scholarship. I don't think we will take it.
I think I think you would be safe staying with the county, and the Bright Future Scholarship is going to be more money in the long run than the PEP for 1 year. And I'm not sure, unless you've gotten a letter saying that you have been awarded the PEP scholarship, you may not actually have the scholarship.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Then she says the current law states she must be in the same place at least 2 years. Oh, that's why the question's coming in. Got you. Okay.
Okay, I think the law intended to keep those things in place, but as I discussed earlier in the call, those things haven't been worked out yet, so we don't actually know. I would keep my child in home education.
Certainly. Yeah, in that circumstance, I think that makes perfect sense. Because I don't even know that they're going to get those updated in time to activate on all of those things. So you go with the one that's most sure. And like you said, Bright Futures in the long run is more than PEP for 1 year. So if it jeopardizes it, why make that? That makes sense. Miss Melissa came in and says FESUA has a parent handbook and a purchasing guide. So that's the basis of her question. Is there going to be a PEP parent handbook and a purchasing guide? I think that's what she's asking.
And I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. UAs, was that? Current law states this. Okay. Favor to say. Okay. Then when Brenda says the purchasing guide is not final until December, does that mean we can't use our funds on things that are currently listed on the purchasing guide if we get funded?
No, you can use your funds on what's in the purchasing guide right now. But Step Up is taking parent input. Mm-hmm. And if you want a different curriculum or a different service or a group that you want to spend your money with for classes, you need to send in a pre-approval form, because that will be what they're using to create the final purchasing guide.
Cool. I have another question. It says, in order to fulfill PEP standardized test requirement, will a student have to be officially enrolled with the county, parentheses, fill out the typical county school enrolling documents if they choose to have the student tested at a zoned county school? Which facilities qualify as a location where the student can take their annual standardized test requirement for PEP? It's a
To
two-parter.
my knowledge, the school districts don't give nationally normed reference tests.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, you don't have to be fully enrolled to take them. You may have to fill out some forms to be able to take the test there.
Right.
And I'm only going to guess, because we've discussed evaluators with a step up for students over the last 6 months.
Okay.
My guess is if you have had a evaluator / tester from a homeschool community that has been giving your child standardized tests, as long as that person is qualified to give the test, I'm going to make a big assumption here because we haven't finalized this, but I think you'll still be able to use your same evaluator and turn your test in. I had a question which I'm going to ask, but I haven't had the opportunity to get with the right people at Step Up yet.
Okay.
If a parent can administer the test, if the parent is sent the test from a program, a distant learning program like Bob Jones, and the parent proctors the test, I don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay. Interesting.
But you can go to a private school and pay them when they administer those tests and get a test score. It may be that I don't know how the parent is going to submit that. Like I said, this program is so new. All those mechanical processes haven't been worked out. They're just trying to get the registrations and award the scholarships right now. They haven't begun to figure out the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's an absolute lot. Extremely helpful session, Brenda. Thank you. Okay, great. Someone asked, I may have missed this, but do we know when we will find out if we have received PEP funding? I guess they're asking, do you know what the activated message is? I know the first one was confusing when it went out to a lot of people, but do you know when they will know when they're actually awarded?
I don't get those letters because I'm not applying for a scholarship. My understanding is...
You don't have any children you're homeschooling, Brenda?
Not for a very long time.
Do you want to homeschool mine?
I would love to, actually. I thought I was going to be able to homeschool my grandchildren, but I only have one, and she lives in Atlanta, so
well,
I'd have to move there to homeschool her.
We'll
and
get
they don't have the laws as we do.
And find a scholarship for it. So the question was, when will we find out if we have received PEP funding?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. I kind of got off track there.
I got us off track. My bad.
So you were awarded a scholarship in your first letter. That doesn't mean it's the PEP. You should have gotten a follow-up letter if you applied for the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship, asking you to choose which scholarship you wanted, the one that your child would go to a private school or the PEP. And my understanding is they have sent those letters out. So you have to respond, and then theoretically, you will receive another letter if you set up an account or instructing you how to set up accounts so that they can put the funds in your student's account.
She says yes for all three, and then I chose the PEP.
Okay. Did they give you instructions for setting up an account?
I'll be waiting. There's a little bit of a delay, and she probably has to have a second to type it in. So
yeah.
There'll be a bit of a delay. It's a good question. I have 2 more good questions coming as well, so
Okay.
we'll wait on that. You can't hear the landscaping people doing the
I can't
lawnmower
hear any
outside.
of that.
Oh, good. Good. All right, so she says, I set up the account, but I haven't heard anything else.
Then I have no idea. That means if you set up an account for your student and they told you how to do that, that means you've been awarded a PEP scholarship.
Okay, so what would be her next step? Should she reach out to someone at Step Up, contact them directly, if she wants to know more about that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You're getting really into the weeds, and I have no way of knowing some of those things.
Yeah, some of these are specific to Step Up and their internal processes and things like that, which we are not a part of Step Up. Brenda does work behind the scenes to do a lot. Obviously, there's a legislative session, but what you guys don't see is that she is constantly on calls, unable to take my calls, because she's on calls with other boards and meetings and people from this organization or that organization to get questions that are fielded that we don't know the answers to, that we just want to try to help. But we don't work for these organizations, so we don't really have anything other than input to offer them when we field feedback from the home education community about how to inform their processes. So bear that in mind. Nothing has been sent out after we apply for PEP. Step Up doesn't even send out a confirmation receipt. Okay, interesting. That's not a question, so I'll just move on. Can a PEP student still take it? Oh wait, there was one question I knew the answer to, I think. If you already applied for the UA scholarship, can you apply for PEP, not for the same child? Right? So if you have more than one child. The answer is yes to her question, or yes, did I get it right?
Yes to her question.
Oh, okay, cool. They can apply for both?
Yes.
For the same child?
No.
Right.
For different child.
No, that question wasn't about different
child.
No. If the question was, if you already applied for the UA scholarship, can you apply for PEP? And I took the answer and said, not for the same child. But if you have more than one child, one of them can qualify for UA, the other one could qualify for PEP. But if you're awarded UA, you're not able to also get PEP.
For the same child. You're correct.
For the same child.
You're correct.
Yeah. Cool. Glad we clarified that. And hey, look, I knew an answer, isn't that? I'm learning, Brenda. Thank you. These are helpful even to someone like me. Another question, Priscilla says, can a PEP student still take advantage of free school services from their home county, like psychoeducational testing? If so, will this continue to be free or at cost? Would that fall under the referenced section of privileges and benefits for home education students, or would that be?
The PEP statute says that they have to pay for classes. I'm not sure about services for that kind of thing. If you're trying to get services for UA, that's going to fall under the UA, not under the PEP.
Oh, right.
So
that makes sense. So
the
you would be a home educating student.
I was on a call with the district contacts about 2 weeks ago, and the DOE, and so they're asking a bunch of questions on their end, as well as parents asking questions, and they're confused about the PEP. I had to deal with a new person who's in the role over home education, not the actual person that they interact with, but her boss. And I explained the PEP program to her because she was totally confused. Fast learner, but nonetheless, the districts are confused. Let me just say that. The districts are confused. So on the call I was on, where there were multiple districts on the call, they said, well, how are we supposed to take money? Because they're not set up to take money directly from parents or individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer from the DOE was, your CFO in your district will have to determine the cost and how for you to pay for those. So you may be able to get the services you ask about for free, because they don't know how to charge at this point.
She updated the question, said psychoeducational screening, like a learning challenge, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, etc. So this would be a case where a student has not been diagnosed and they need the testing. Would UA?
If it's UA, that's separate. Yes, you can request an IEP from the school district in which you live, and they are obligated to provide you with an IEP.
Mm-hmm.
Or a matrix of services, but I don't know how they would determine, personally, I don't know how they would determine if your child has a learning disability. I think you probably need to ask about fiddlers. When you call the school district, ask them if they can do that evaluation. If not, there's another group that's associated with the districts, and it's FDLRS. They call it fiddlers.
We need more acronyms.
Yeah, just about 1,000 in education.
Yeah.
Fiddlers. And when you get that number, my understanding is fiddlers has the ability to evaluate a child who doesn't have a doctor's diagnosis.
Got you. But to answer the question directly, that's not necessarily something that is for PEP. That is a FESUA track question.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Good. And then someone else asked, as a follow-up to the previous one, what if you haven't been awarded for UA and you would rather take PEP?
If you're not getting a scholarship, you can apply for either.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think your child needs services to help with a learning difference, you would be better off applying for the UA, because the way you spend your money is different. You can't get therapies under PEP, but you can under the UA.
Right. Yeah, different purchasing guide, different handbook, different rollouts, different everything, really. Except for who's handing it out. That's the same.
That's right.
Yeah. If we are funded for PEP, and let's say in February when everything is finalized with the rules, we don't like what they have done and want to switch back to our county homeschool office, can we do so? Sorry, it jumped. Can we do, so lost my place, if we have used PEP funds for that year, I'm guessing. I understand we keep being told we can go back at any time, but if we use funds, do we need to finish out the year before switching back? It's a good question.
My guess, based on what has happened in the other scholarship programs, is you will have money in your child's account quarterly. Mm-hmm. So if you opt out of that account, of that program, at whatever point you opt out, the money would be cut off, and the money would be returned to the SFO. what isn't spent would be returned. I
Right.
don't think that they're going to make you repay unless you have spent it fraudulently.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's see.
However, you're just getting my opinion. Like Jason said, we don't work for Step Up. I can only give you my best guess based on what I know before and the information I've gotten from Step Up. So
yeah, these answers are not legally
at this
binding.
point, I'm going to say play it safe.
Sure. Yeah, Sabrina was the one asking or one of the, Priscilla was the one asking the question about psychoeducational screening, and then she asked, in reference, her questions are all in reference to PEP, about the psychoeducational screening, etc. She understands that for UA, you need a diagnosis. Yeah, but they're separate. So PEP does not track or target children with
unique abilities.
Unique abilities. That's it. Yes. There's a phrase for everything nowadays. Cool. I don't see any additional questions coming in. I'd see a bunch of thank yous. This information is helpful, so I'll move to this one as the last question, and I'll post it here so we have a timestamp. Wondering if PEP money can be used for scouting costs. Someone messaged and said, I run an American Heritage Girls Troop. Wondering what we do if a family says they want to use PEP money for that.
You would have to submit that question to Step Up for pre-approval. I've never heard in any of the scholarships that is an area that they could pay for, but they're covering some things that I wouldn't necessarily think they would have covered. So just ask them directly.
Understood. That's a great point. And as a follow-up, ask Brenda, if you receive scholarship, is that considered income when you file your taxes?
No.
Okay.
It specifically says that in the statute.
Very good. Quick, succinct, direct, to the point. Good job. All right, so that's gonna be it for today. For today's Q&A. Thank you, Brenda, for being with us and taking the time to do these. I know that it's a lot to get used to be in the habit of. It looks like we're going to continue to do these ongoing as a part of how we serve our community. If you're on right now, also take a chance, take a moment and go to flhef.org/support and go ahead and buy Brenda coffee, if nothing else. You can pick a tier to support on. It is thirsty work, and it helps us to maintain having our lobbyist working with us full time. It is a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I know that whenever we go and we click on things, because I have a question and I go to the forum and I click, it's just a simple click and finding of an answer after putting in a search term, but there's a lot that happens behind the scenes to get those answers to that screen. And I know that a lot of people don't know what goes into that, but it is full-time work, I can assure you. And it's thirsty work. So if you could at least click on the $5 tier and support her monthly with a $5 donation, that would be great. But if nothing else, my wife is also working behind the scenes to field all of the questions coming into the website and get them into the forum, as well as get people set up in the forum. So if we have evaluators, if you are an evaluator or you know someone who is an evaluator and they want to connect with the home education community through our forum, we are allowing, there's a whole section in there for home evaluators to make it easy for you to connect. And we put a tag next to their name that says that they're an evaluator. We're also even able to add a county tag next to them so that you can know who is in your area that you can connect with. So there's a lot of things that we have coming to support our community. All of those are free. All you have to do is create a site member profile and start tapping away and interacting and engaging and benefiting from all of those tools. So there isn't a cost and there won't be a cost. There's no plan to add a cost to any of those things. So we're just trying to find ways to support the community with all the work that we're constantly fielding new information in the background and constantly getting updates. And we're trying to make sure that they come to everyone who's following us as quickly as possible. You get them right away. Brenda, you were about to say something?
Yeah, remind them I want to retire so I can go see my granddaughter more often.
Yes.
And we have to hire somebody.
We do. Yeah. We do. Which we are working on. So any of your support there would help. flhef.org/support. Brenda, do you have anything else to add? This is a Monday. Anything else to add on this wonderful Monday? It's hot out.
No.
All right. Well, if that's it, then we will kick it off with a little music. Wait, where did my music go? There we go.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Have a good week. Bye.